Now that this Biden administration is taking us into a green future so that the planet and our country is safer for future generations, Republicans are throwing a fit and they're launching this war on, regulations and government, while at the same time taking campaign contributions from the oil and gas lobby and the electric utility lobby and those industries, which of course don't want the Biden administration making appliances more efficient, which means that they don't use as much oil and gas and as much electricity that the oil and gas and electrical utilities are supplying. So those industries pump campaign contributions into Republicans, and those Republicans come up with this morally bankrupt and really shallow attempt to paint Democrats as just, there's too much government. Well, Representative Daniel Neguse, who is a rising star in the Democratic Party, slammed the Republican Jeff Duncan, who tried to use that Democrats are just involved in too much government, trying to regulate my appliances. Neguse was not letting him get away with it and actually flipped the story on how Duncan is actually trying to regulate things that maybe shouldn't be, according to his logic of there being too much government. This next clip is a few minutes, but Neguse does a fantastic job at laying Duncan out.
You said there's too much government in selecting one's toaster, I guess, or one's refrigerator, apparently, or one's washer and dryer. You went through this litany of examples. Where do you draw the line?
Where do I draw the line on what?
Yeah, how do you see, you take issue with the federal government's role, in this case, with respect to the bill that you all have proposed. Where do you draw the line as to how much government is too much government?
Well, there's 17 enumerated powers in the United States Constitution, and I think government has well exceeded that. I think a return to a smaller, limited federal government is better.
Okay.
That's how our founders envisioned this.
That's helpful. That's what I was hoping you would say. You believe there's too much government in appliances, or the selection thereof. Do you think there's too much government in baseball?
I don't think government has a role in baseball.
You don't think government has a role in baseball? That's fascinating. Are you familiar with the Competition in Professional Baseball Act?
Well, there's some antitrust laws.
No, I didn't ask you that. I asked if you're familiar with that bill. I mean, I hope you'd be familiar with it because it's your bill.
I am, yeah.
Right? Yeah. You authored the Competition in Professional Baseball Act. That bill does what? It amends the Clayton Act to ultimately eliminate one of the antitrust exemptions that exists for professional baseball. You're familiar with the Clayton Act, yes?
I am.
And the Clayton Act is designed to do what? Protect consumers, is that right? Is the Clayton Act part of the 17 enumerated powers of the federal government under the Constitution as you see it, that you hold so true and fast to?
Probably.
Probably? Okay, so looks like we found an exception. Maybe we can go down the list of some others. You see my point, Mr. Duncan.
I said it's too much government.
Oh, yeah, I understand, but apparently too much government in the case of the bill that you proposed, but not too much government in the case of professional baseball, where apparently you've introduced a bill, or at least you introduced a bill.
Trying to roll back
Hold on,
some of
Mr.
government.
Duncan, I'll finish my
Just like this
statement,
is
and I'll give you an opportunity to respond, in which you introduced a bill in the last Congress to give the FTC more powers so that it could regulate professional baseball. So you could imagine, I think, my surprise, and I suspect for those who are watching, their surprise to hear you defend liberty for refrigerators, but then demand that the federal government intervene in the regulation of professional baseball. I find that a bit disconnected from the philosophy that you've articulated. But I'm happy to...
Well, there's already antitrust laws out there that baseball has to operate under. And trying to roll back some of that is lessening government's involvement.
Yeah, again, that's not the nature of your bill. The bill provides for an amendment of
the laws already exist.
Let me finish my statement here. The Clayton Act, which, as you know, is over 100 years old, does not include baseball, and the courts, going back a generation, have ruled that professional baseball is not subject to the antitrust laws of the United States of America. You, sir, have introduced a bill to mandate that professional baseball be subject to the antitrust laws of the United States and to give the Federal Trade Commission the powers to regulate it thereof. You shouldn't be embarrassed by it. That's your position.
Because there were antitrust violations. And so the antitrust laws, I didn't write. The
I hear you.
antitrust laws were on the books.
And apparently you believe
And
that
baseball was
it's in
given
the
an exemption.
interest of the American public for the federal government to have a role to protecting consumers, which you've spent the better part of the last half hour attacking that very view.
Antitrust laws fall under commerce, which the federal government enumerated powers to regulate.
Sure. Well, you have a broader view of the Commerce Clause than certainly than apparently the framers that you were describing previously. But to the extent that you care to jump in, Ranking Member Pallone, about the regulation.
Now, I went on to Open Secrets and found that, of course, Jeff Duncan's biggest campaign contributor from 2023 to 2024 was the electrical utility industry. Second biggest campaign contributor came from oil and gas. So, of course, Duncan doesn't want these appliances to be more efficient, because that means the people who paid him to be where he is are getting screwed. Now, the American people are being helped by this. Costs are going down, cleaner environment. No. Duncan's got this whole idea that, this is too much government. But see, that's just not the case. It's selective government. See, Republicans, they just want control so that they can have a government for the campaign contributors by the campaign contributors. It's not a government for the people by the people, which is clearly where Democrats stand and where the Biden administration stands in this. Nearly everything that has come out from this Biden administration has helped our country for the better, not just in the immediate, but in the long term. And the infrastructure plan and the investment in green, clean energy is massive. It is tens of billions of dollars worth of investments that will pay off for generations to come. Going back to just the politics of it all, the idea that these Republicans know what they're talking about when you hear them talk about, government is just way too big. You heard it right there. That argument is completely shallow. He doesn't want to regulate these appliances while he's taking money from gas and oil. No, he'll go and he'll try to regulate baseball, right? I mean, that's how deep Duncan goes with his legislation. And I mean, did you notice that he didn't even really understand what his legislation did? Didn't really understand the debate he was in? It's just symbolic of the fact that Republicans aren't there to legislate for the people. They're there for the 1%. They're there for corporate America. And so when you've got an administration like this one who basically gives corporate America the backhand and says, look, it's about time the people start being represented, of course they're going to throw temper tantrums, which is why they're so weak, which is why they are going to face the biggest beatdown in modern political history this year in November. I cannot wait for November because it's very clear with videos like this who's standing on the side of the American people and who's really trying to legislate and trying to govern for the people, because it sure as hell ain't Representative Duncan. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. If you guys stuck around this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. My name is Brendan Plank. Hope you guys subscribe and turn on those notifications if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next video.